The truth is that the war in Gaza has enormous economic incentives behind it for the US, for the EU, and for Israel. I mentioned some of these in part 1, and I'm going to expand on my analysis in this part 2. See, Israel and the United States have been planning for decades to build what is called the Ben Gurion Canal. This is a rival to the infamous Suez Canal in Egypt. This Ben Gurion Canal will begin at the port city of Eilat and finish right next to, if not directly through, Gaza. The Americans hatched this secret plan with the Israelis in 1963 to detonate over 500 nuclear bombs in the Negev desert with the aim of building this Ben Gurion Canal. You know, this goes without saying, the Suez Canal is one of the most important, quintessential geostrategic assets on the planet. It connects the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea. It is so important to global trade that in 1956, Israel, Britain, and France literally attacked Egypt because it dared to nationalize the Suez Canal, you know, its own territory. Let that give you an idea how important this is economically. It's situated at the intersection of 3 continents and 2 bodies of water. It cuts shipping times and shipping costs by so much that today, 12% of global trade, 30% of global container traffic pass through the Suez Canal. This is why Israel are absolutely obliterating Gaza. They want no more Palestinians and no more resistance.
Uno scopo, distruggere Gaza. Distruggere questo male assoluto.
Egyptian President Sisi was told in the last weeks that if he accepts Israel's plan to take Palestinians from Gaza and put them in the Sinai Desert, that Israel will pay for this, and the United States will wipe Egypt's national debt. Look at that. And the third aspect about the River Nile. You see, Ethiopia, which is Egypt's neighbor, built something in 2011 called the Renaissance Dam, which cut water to both Sudan and Egypt. And this is, you know, it's caused a huge argument ever since. Now, Ethiopia has a significant Jewish population. The United States, and specifically Israel, could theoretically lean on Ethiopia, as they have done before, and pressure it not to fill up its reservoirs, which is very good for Egypt, and shall we say would incentivize Egypt to take in people from Gaza. You see, you need to understand this Ben Gurion Canal is the last piece of the puzzle. It will cement the Americans and Israelis' control over the world's most important shipping lane, giving them total control over maritime trade. So follow me down the map. The Red Sea, which would feed into the Ben Gurion Canal, it already has a huge presence of American and Israeli troops. Did you know, for example, that Israel's largest military base is located in the Red Sea on Dahlak Island in Eritrea? This base was hit by Yemen in the last few days in support of Gaza because Yemen is an integral part of the resistance axis. Yemen is located right next to Eritrea in a crucial area. I mean, we're talking about the Gulf of Aden. We're talking about the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. Thousands, tens of thousands of ships pass this area every year, including a large percentage of the world's petroleum vessels. The US have been trying for decades to control this important shipping lane by putting troops right opposite Yemen, in Djibouti and Somalia, in what is called the Horn of Africa. The Americans have tried to control this area by attacking Yemen from the rear, using Saudi Arabia, using other Gulf countries, doing their own drone strikes. This war lasted for over 6 years. It devastated Yemen, and the media barely covered it. Another one of Yemen's important geostrategic assets is the beautiful island of Socotra, which is located, I mean, talk about geostrategic. It's located between the Horn of Africa, the Gulf of Aden, the Arabian Sea, and the Indian Ocean. See, the UAE, after normalizing ties with Israel, they helped Israel to put spy bases and establish a military presence on Socotra Island. The importance of this Bab el-Mandeb Strait is that both Iran and China need to use this shipping lane for Iran to export fuel and for China as the world's largest economy and largest trading partner of most countries. I mean, there is de facto already an entire Cold War taking place right up the Gulf Coast in the Strait of Hormuz. The tanker war You see, what happens is that the US and Israel, they tried to sink Iranian fuel ships, and then Iran responds in kind. You see, Britain also tried playing a stupid game as well in the Strait of Gibraltar. They hijacked an Iranian ship, and only when Iran did the same to a British ship did they finally, get the message and let the Iranian ship go. The US have gone so far as to even steal Iranian fuel tankers and sell off the cargo. A practice that is commonly referred to as piracy. Later on, in the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, up into the Red Sea, and of course, by replacing the Suez Canal with the Ben Gurion Canal. This final piece of the puzzle will allow the US and Israel to dominate world maritime trade. They can use this not only to the benefit of their own economies, but to damage and to attack other countries' economies, like China, like Iran, Egypt, Syria, Lebanon. I mean, this is literally highway robbery on the high seas. And the Ben Gurion Canal is key to all of this. Egypt could stop this war in Gaza right now by shutting down the Suez Canal. It is bewildering that they don't do this. If not for Gaza's sake, do it for your own sake. Egypt's economy is going to be leveled if this Ben Gurion Canal is built. It will completely undermine the Suez Canal. Where is Saudi Arabia? Why don't they threaten to cut oil production for 1 week, 1 bloody day, just to stop this war? Or is there something in it for them where God to be leveled and replaced with this canal? Where are the Arabs? Where are the Muslims? Look at the European Union. They have nothing in common with each other except geography. They have over 24 languages. Whereas the Arab world, from Morocco to Oman, have a common tongue, common geography, common religion, common history, and common culture. I mean, this automatically makes them a global superpower, not to mention the natural resources, the geographical landmass, and the population, which are essential factors and criteria of hard power.
In the Arab city of Cordoba were 2 miles of public lighting in the streets when London was a village.
It's not only the size of the Arab world, but look at the straits. All the vital straits are located in Arab countries. The Strait of Gibraltar, which is Jebel Tariq, the Suez Canal, the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, and the Strait of Hormuz between Iran and Oman. European colonial powers understood this a long time ago, how powerful Arab countries could be, and they planted Israel right smack dab in the middle to sow chaos and try to win over these Arab kingdoms, bring them over to this side, and them normalize ties with Israel. All these borders in the Middle East did not exist until 1916, until the same European powers that back Israel today drew them. This is the Middle East before, and this is the Middle East after Sykes-Picot, after the French and the British ruined it. This divide and conquer strategy is all about carving up the Arab world, creating instability, and controlling resources and the straits. These powers, they always play this sectarian card. They love to pit Sunni against Shia. They did this in Iraq, they did it in Lebanon, and now they try to do it between Arabs and try to pit them against Iran. In Palestine, they tell you, oh, it's about Jews against Muslims. No, it absolutely bloody isn't. The West are afraid of unity between Arabs themselves and between Arabs and Muslim countries. This war has nothing to do with Hamas. That's not what it's about. You know why people are wondering, how is this slaughter of civilians happening? The ardent support for Israel from the West.
Europe stands with Israel.
As we stand steadfast with Israel.
The United States stands with Israel.
Why are they allowing this to happen in broad daylight? They won't even call for a ceasefire. What's controversial about that? The answer is because this is their project too. This is also a European and American imperialist project, and they are complicit. This long-term plan concerns and screws the whole region. It will impact everybody in the Middle East negatively. And that is precisely why the whole resistance axis, Palestine, Yemen, Iran, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, are all involved in this fight on multiple fronts.